Hello?
Hello? Did you update it? But it's just.
Oh yeah, I updated it.
Okay. All right. Oh, you just added. Okay, you just added this one. Okay.
Yeah, well, I know I made it because I couldn't change it anymore. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have like uploads as well, and then sometimes you could just add a bunch of stuff, and then sometimes it's like nope.
I think it's like how recently you like created the post or something. But yeah,
Oh.
I'm excited. I'm ready to get roasted.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, do you want to get roasted? I could.
No, just like
I could go into roast mode if it's like if you're into that.
No, it's all. I just know it's really like I'm really new to the game, so be gentle.
Okay. So it's good to be gentle.
Yeah, well, it's you can be just whatever you think would help me improve.
Well, I mean, if you want to, yeah, okay. Well, I can make a lot of jokes there about being gentle or being rough, but let's just stay on point. And okay, so it's Janie, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let's set this up. Boom. Nice. Yes. Okay. So, first things first. You are a mage, I see. Ice lightning, yes?
Yep.
All of my hot garbage. Oh, nice. And then you have a bunch of equips. I'll look at those in a little bit.
I kind of uploaded it a Papago way, but like I put the name of what the like equip was, like weapon, in like the box below it, so you can like control F, I guess, if you like. Oh my God, sniffing tool had a stroke there, but.
Nice blue line here, yeah.
Oh yeah, sniffing tool. I don't. That was just. Yeah.
I mean, I like you taking a little bit of artistic freedoms with the screenshots. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, usually I ask like we'd like talk in general a little bit about the game, and then I'll look at the actual equips because
okay, sure.
It's all yeah, I can like immediately start talking about like you need to flame this, but then usually, well, what happens is you flame that, and then like 1 week later you're like, okay, well, what do I do now, right? So I'm trying to establish first like kind of to see what your level of understanding of everything is and what you want to know and what you don't really care about knowing, and then just introduce those topics that you want to know more about, and then based on that, from there we look at the equips, and then everything will make more sense why I'm saying the things that I'm saying and what to upgrade first, and then we'll clear like the path further, and then you'll have like a general idea of where to go at all times, basically.
All right.
It might seem a little bit vague now, but it'll make sense.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
I actually haven't seen one of these progressions, but I was just told by someone to get one. Because he was like, I don't know how to help you, because it was too much for him.
Yeah, they like took one look at your equips and they were like, "Oh, you need help," which
Yeah.
it probably comes from a place of love, That's
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, what level are you now? Can I see that here? No, I hate how level is not in the stat window.
I'm 210. I'm just 210. I literally just escaped BJ.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah.
Well, you didn't escape yet. You gotta do your dailies for like a month more.
Yeah.
But you think you escaped, but you can never truly escape the Arcane River. Okay, so just a 210, and then you've already unlocked Choo Choo. Oh yeah, you've already unlocked Choo Choo. See, and you did some Muto. That's nice.
Oh yeah, I did some H Muto.
Yep, that levels up very quickly. Yeah. How is hard Muto? Do you know where everything is? Do you need some tips on that? Or?
I saw a map. Like, people basically do it for me, so I don't really need to know how to. Well, I'll just learn like slowly as I do it, like every day.
So all of the monsters are always in the same spot?
Yeah, I've seen the map and stuff.
Yeah, and then when you go past, I think it passed like 75% bar or something, then they go to the empowered versions, right? They change colors, but those are all still in the same area. The Slurpee's in a random spot. And the Slurpee is always one per dish, so if there's ever a question mark on a one, it's always the Slurpee fruit that you have to look for. And the Slurpee is only in dishes that have 4 ingredients.
Oh, okay, cool.
Have you seen the guide thing that I have? Well, it's not mine, but that I have a link to. In the beginning,
is there a command for it?
Yeah, yeah, of course there's a command for it. I have command for everything. So there's 2 things. So this one is just like the general guide. So this one has the map, right? Which makes sense. You already know that part.
Oh yeah, I've seen this picture. Yeah, this is the exact
Yeah.
picture I saw.
So this one, I used to have this one open like on the side of my screen in the beginning to know like where everything, like what all the dishes were, right? If there was a question mark. After a while, it just makes sense because you see that some ingredients, like these are both bottom right. These are all the things. These are bottom right, but just add a fruit and one from the middle. These are all the things on the right, and then these are bottom left, right? So it's just mirrored. And these are bottom left and the thing in the middle, right? So they're like kind of like mirrored dishes, if that makes sense. And these are all the ones on the left. And these are the ones, this one is kind of like a mix. And then the other mix is like, well, and then this one is just the hard version of that one. So once you kind of like get the gist of like which ingredients go together and which ones totally don't, like you'll see that the, what is it, like the toenails? No, it's like the fangs or something from the sharks.
The toenails?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like these never go together with the feathers, for example. Like those are never together. And they're also never together with like the apples or the bananas. So yeah, that if there's ever a question mark, that allows you to move around and go to the area much faster. And if you're already on the, you always want to move. If there's a Slurpee and you don't know where it is yet, you always want to move to the area where you know for sure you need an ingredient, because if you meet him on the way there, you save time. And if you go like, oh, maybe he's on the other side, and you check the other side first and he's not there, you'd lose time. So it's like EV positive to always just go for the ingredients you already know first. And then, you know, if you don't meet the Slurpee, then you can go look at the other areas.
All right.
And one last thing is like if you need the feather and Slurpee, it's always a good idea to like jump into the beam that goes up. And then if you don't see Slurpee on the platform, just immediately jump off before you go all the way up. And then you just go to the other side and jump down. Because, yeah, if you check all the other platforms and it ends up that he was at the shark platform, then you're going to feel always really silly. And you waste a lot of time looking at all the other areas where you're actually already really close to checking that platform when you're at the feather. So that can save you a bit of time in the long run. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah, you should just like jump into it here and then jump down diagonally when you don't see him right there. And then the last thing is that you can teleport. I don't know if you've used this already.
Oh, in the second picture? Like the second immigrant lamp? I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea that existed.
Yeah, they added that later. So for some people who haven't played in a long time, that's also new information. But yeah, if you just push all the way down in the river, then you'll just be teleported to that location.
Wait, like go down?
Yeah, just go into the water and go all the way down and just go a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. Just anywhere in this area, and it'll teleport you to that area. So if you need to go to the top right or the bottom right or to the top left or the bottom left, like you'll be able to get there very quickly from handing something in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just little tips. But yeah, other than that, yeah, you'll just gradually get better at it. And depending on what class you are, your mobility might be a little bit different. So sometimes...
Mage is not very fun.
Yeah, so you'll probably have to use the river every time to hand things in, right? Otherwise you just get stuck on getting pushed back up into the platform you just want to get rid of.
I always go to the water's like Papega too, like, because you go so fast.
Yeah, you kind of got to get the rhythm for at what point do I jump. So you basically just jump through the cauldron and immediately hand into things while you're still in the arc of falling.
Wow, I didn't know there were Muto mechanics.
Yeah. And you don't want to use buffs while you're on the cauldron because then it doesn't trigger. Like, it takes up the input, so...
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I would rebuff when I go down with the purple beam, or the pink beam, right? And then if you're still buffing while you land on the cauldron, like, it won't register that you hand in the stuff and you lose a little bit of time. There's just some weird stuff there, but... Yeah. And, like, your familiars fall off, but you can still use Holy Symbol for more drop rate. Especially in the beginning, having some more drop rate is really nice. Specifically for the sharks, those have very low drop rate, and the platform is also really annoying, right? You have the ones up top, and yeah, you want to let someone else do that one.
Okay.
Yeah, the easiest drop rate is the ones on the top left, like the catfish and the pine deer and the bananas. Like, those have very high drop rates. The other ones seem a little bit wonky.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Why would they make the drop rates different? That's just...
Yeah, it's
the code for a lot of things in MapleStory could be optimized, you know, like the client, or like launching the client.
But yeah, like the game
I'm
itself.
still salty.
Oh wait, you DC'd at something important?
I DC'd like so many times yesterday, and like I had to, like, when you press play, like it has to open like 10 times before it actually works. It's
cool.
I was so frustrated. At least maybe it's my computer, but yeah.
Yeah, so one thing that can help with that is if you have do you use your task manager at all?
Yeah, I end the old Nexon client, like, and any MapleStory like processes that are running.
Yeah.
And then I like run the MapleStory launcher as administrator. I followed the tips, man.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
know
No.
any
No.
advanced
You're doing it.
MapleStory starting mechanics?
Yeah. It's really rough
That's
that
like
you have
part
to
of
go
the
through
it's like
all of
part of the
this.
game.
Yeah.
It's part of the gameplay. So
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah. You're working on your IT certification already, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What else is there in Muto? There was like one more thing. Okay. Oh yeah, and it's also an arcane power area. So as you gain more arcane power, you also deal more damage. But I think you're already at the point, right? Because I think it's
I
150
have
and up.
so much arcane force hyperstat, like it too much. I think I need to like take some out.
You have level
But
10. Yeah. So I think if you divest all the points from that, you'll still hit the 150, right? Because you have plus 1,500. So I think you have plus 10, plus 100. So that would be level. Is that level 10?
I think there's some areas still in Choo Choo, like the bird place where like I don't have 2 times the arcane power.
Right, because you just got into Choo Choo, yeah. But you don't
Yeah.
want to train there anyway. Haha. You wanna be in Reverse City, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or in Slurpy Depth if you can get one of those maps. Those are very good for Ice Lightning as well.
Do you think Reverse City like at 210 is better than?
Yeah, I think it's better all the way up to 220, honestly. Unless you can get a Choo Choo map. Choo Choo map is better, and then there's like a bunch of reverse city maps, and then there's like everything else in Choo Choo, even with the revamp, just because of how, like if you have totems, right, just because of how the map layout is of the other maps, and just how quickly the monsters respawn, but mainly how many spawn locations of monsters there are.
Alright.
But that's something that's going to get revamped for a bunch of maps in the near future, hopefully. So we'll see how that makes different maps more viable. Hopefully just more competitive and just, more diverse maps that will be competitive, so people don't have to all stack up into the same map the whole time. I mean, it's always kind of going to happen, right? People are going to make leveling guides and people are going to follow those generally. But if a lot more maps are competitive, then they'll just take a lot of pressure off of like, I need this map, and then people feel more opportunity to just go in and train, and it's not going to be such a huge commitment of like, oh, you need to find a map first, or to like join a guild so I can even get in a map that's relevant, and Okay, so 210. So how much time are you playing these days? Like, what's your daily, weekly routine looking like?
I have like the shortest attention span ever, so grinding's like really hard for me. Like, but that's like 90% of the game. So, I can grind like 2 hours a day. I think is like the most I can do.
Okay.
But like I can do my dailies and stuff. But like just pure like totem grinding, I like. It's my attention span is just not there.
Okay.
But yeah.
But it's also not fun for you to do, or like you just want to do a bunch of other
grinding?
stuff.
Yeah. I like just doing like progressing on like other characters and stuff. Like it's nice to have like an incentive like leveling and stuff, and not just seeing this like yellow bar, just like marginally increase every hour.
Yeah. So you want to have like a little bit more of a balance of many things.
Yeah.
That hopefully all work together to make your character stronger, but not necessarily grinding be the main focal point.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be most optimal, but I've accepted. This game is impossible to optimize.
I mean, you can optimize it within your limitations, right? One of the things is just know what your limitations are and then work from there and try to optimize within that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
optimize within my limitation.
Yeah, everyone has different limitations, so
my attention span.
I mean, some people have like RSI or something, so they physically just can't do the same repetitive movement for longer than like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something. So you have to like play around that, I guess. Which in that case is probably play a different game, but that's a different conversation. So you're just playing on one account, one computer?
I can have another computer, but like, do I want a 2 PC kind of not really.
Okay. Well, you don't have to. It's just like for one of the things. Yeah, I mean, less now, right? Because of the nerf to it, but you would be able to have Kishin like half uptime, and then especially when you're working on Legion, you won't have to commit any totems to your Legion, but you can save those for the grinding sessions for your main. Yeah, it kind of depends. If you're just like in the beginning, if you're just building up your Legion by building a lot of low-level characters, then Kishin is very helpful, because you could just be like at golems and then a different map and a different map, and you just only go up to level 60 or something and then play a different character. If you're actually grinding it out from like 60 to 140 or from 140 to 200 on some characters, purely for the Legion and the Lynx, then you'd probably still want to use totems just because of the, you know, if you really are committing for that set, it'll make more sense. There's also the possibility, right, for the second on the second PC to also participate in events like Relay and just get a lot of reward points and also buy totems and then just use totems from the other account.
Oh wow, that's like, I didn't even think of using totems for the other account.
Yeah, and then you could basically just double up on your totem count. It's harder, of course, because you know, if you don't have something as easy as Relay where you just AFK and get the points after you meet the requirements, of course. There would be like a bunch of bosses that you would have to do, but like let's say that you do like Root Abyss, like normal Root Abyss every day, which is pretty easy to get to the point where you can do that. It does like 200 reward points a day. So it's like 6k. It's like 6k a month. So that's already 3 totems extra. So that's 6 hours of training. I don't know. Like there's some possibilities there with like minimal input to just have a little bit of more access to stuff. Yeah, but it's not just like, okay, I have to always be pressing Kishin and everything.
Do you have to level like it up to like the mobs, like how the mobs are in the map, like the same level?
Not necessarily. Some areas have level restrictions, so then you would have to meet those restrictions and do like maybe some pre-quests, right? Like Vanishing Journey.
Like Vanishing Journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I think for future Parion, I think you have to be 180. I think to be able to go in there, like Forsaken Excavation Site, you know, like the stumps and all that area. I think you have to be 180 for that. A lot of other areas you could just teleport with a rock into. Yeah, eventually, you know, it's going to be a Kana, so, you know, it leveling that even to up 200, even on a fresh account, isn't like super challenging. It's just, you know, just hold down button and things die kind of thing. Might feel weird though. You don't want to have it like over level your main or something. That will just feel really strange.
Because Kana levels so fast.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but you know, it won't be at the level of strength. But yeah, it just has a kit that just makes sense, and it has Kishin. So, but yeah, I'm not saying to do that. I'm not saying not to do that, but that's an option. And especially as you you'll probably run into like some frustrations. It'll depend on what your baseline is, right? If your baseline is just not having Kishin, not having totem spawn when you're leveling Legion mules, they have just a certain level of speed of progression, certain cadence where it's like, okay, this is just how quickly I do this. This is how long this typically takes. And then some classes are a little bit stronger. Some are a little bit faster in certain maps. Others don't really match the maps very well. Once you start introducing Kishin or a totem, is going to be very hard to like go back to before. Yeah, it's because your baseline just goes up by so much, and your expectation of how fast things are and how quickly you move along are just going to be so much higher that it can like ruin you. So yeah, it is something to be careful about, that it could spoil you basically.
It's like, okay, gateway drug, got it.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So what is your goal with your character now? Are you just like chilling, or you just want to slowly keep progressing, or you want to certain boss you want to be able to kill, or certain area you want to get to? Or?
Well, I kind of want to just be able to like contribute to like when I get to like 220, like I just want to contribute to like Lovian maybe, like or get carried maybe. I can already get carried, right? Just the mechanics.
Yeah, if your goal is to get carried, then we're done here. Like just join the run.
But like
practice mechanics, don't die, forehead, yeah.
What do you think, like just like basic things I could improve, or are you gonna explain more mechanics and stuff, or?
If you want to talk about mechanics for Damien and Lotus, we can talk about that if you want, yeah.
Or I just want to ask about, can I ask about familiars? Like I played like pre-Big Bang, like way back, not this account. So I played MapleStory before, but like not the new familiar system. So I don't have big spiders from before. So what should I do? Like, is it just familiars doomed?
Kind of. Yeah. So there are gains you can make, but it's definitely limited. So there's two things, right? One is just farming familiars in general to just unlock the badges, and then use that to be able to get up to 3 familiars. That's probably useful if you're going to main this character for a significant amount of time. the types of gains you can make from the familiars will be diverse. Like hopefully you can get some with some drop rate or some meso drop rate, so you can get some better gains when you're training, and you don't have to rely on the drop rate coupons whenever they're from an event or from the Legion shop. So that'll save you some cost on the Legion coins there. You can get some healing familiars for boss runs to make sure that either yourself or your party members get healed, so everyone's survivability is a little bit higher. That makes the boss runs a whole lot easier, especially if there's a lot of sources that kind of like chip away at you during the boss fight. You know, some boss fight, it's not very difficult, but there's a few things that like hit you hard and just kill you. In those boss fights, healing familiars don't really do much at all. It's all about just dodging the mechanics. But if the boss fight has a lot of little sources of damage that kind of chip away at you, then having a lot of healing familiars out just negates all of that. And then you're kind of just the healing from the familiars does tend to stack up together because it comes at like an interval based on when it's summoned and everything. So it tends to like clump together. But it definitely increases the survivability of the party members by a whole lot. And then the other thing is that it can give you IED and boss damage, which will just help you with your general damage output onto the boss, which, you know, in the beginning, if you are in a position where you're getting carried, is not that important yet, right? Because, you know, you have no damage to push through, so it's not going to do that much. But eventually, if you're trying to solo bosses of higher difficulty and stuff, then you will have to meet certain thresholds of IED for penetration and boss damage just to make sure that your range and all of your damage that you have actually get pushed through to the boss.
Okay.
So that basically means, so it's like farming the familiars to get the badges, and then the other thing is to just find a map that makes sense for you where you can farm familiars. So from what I heard, there's a few maps that are very decent in Future Parion, so maybe even have you trained in Forsaken Excavation Site 2 already?
No, I did like when I was like 200 or like what, like that level.
So you could do totem, or like, you know, if you had that kind of like some farming sessions for familiars there, the drop rate there seems to be pretty good. And once you get a familiar that has drop rate on it, you know, that'll further increase your drop rate. If you have decent holy symbol, that will increase your drop rate, things like that. And it's basically just going to be like, just get a whole bunch of like common and rare ones and just open all of them up and see if there's anything useful. And in the beginning, you'll just look for small healing familiars, maybe familiars that have 15% IED. And I don't think boss damage comes into play until common or even epic. So
Okay.
you're not even going to be looking for those. So drop rate, healing, IED in the beginning, and then just keep those. And the ones that just have shit, they're just not useful at all. You can use all of those and fuse them together onto a rare one, so the blue ones. And if you get enough, there'll be a bar on the bottom that shows how far you are to full fusion power. Once that's full, you have to equip that familiar and kill monsters near your level until it levels up to the max level, to level 5, I think. And then when it's highest level and the bar is full, then you can attempt to enhance it to epic.
Okay.
This is something you could do on the side if you farmed a lot and you have a lot, but it's not necessarily the goal of the whole thing, because basically once it gets to epic and you reveal it, then you just have one chance of an epic roll, and there's like very, very high chance that it's going to be shit. So you don't want to really you don't want to put too much of your hopes onto that. Like, it's probably going to be bad, but at least it'll be an epic roll. And then that's basically like the only thing you can do with all of your extra cards. One extra thing you can do with all the extra cards is, sorry, I should have mentioned that first. What's probably better than fusing them first is to extract enough to have enough points to buy the booster packs. Have you seen the shop for familiars?
Yeah. I heard the booster packs were like the move too.
Yeah. So yeah, booster packs first. Sorry, I should have mentioned that first. So booster packs, if you have enough points, because they have a very high chance of giving you common and even epics, and it's just per points efficiency, it's higher than like the tiering up. And then, you know, if you buy your one for the day and if you actually are farming a lot, then you can go for the fusing them together like slowly over time. But it's, if you're not like all about that long grind and doing this over and over and over, then probably just focusing on booster packs is probably going to be better for your situation. Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that first. But the other thing is like a backup thing that you know could get into. But for the fusion, it has to be the same type of familiar, right? So then you're kind of like stuck to the same map always. and the higher level areas, like in Arcane River and all, that don't have any familiars. So you're always like forced to go back to lower level areas. So.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, but so you aim very low, like one familiar that gives some healing to you, maybe do some party members, one that has some IED on it, and then the other one, and then hopefully find one that increases your drop rate in some way. That'll already be like a pretty successful setup if you're like completely new to the system.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for the help on that. I was so confused on like the new familiars.
Yeah, because it changed a bunch as well. Because when
Yeah.
it first came out, and then there's probably still some guide circulating of the version 2.13 when it came out, and then now it's version 2.15, and the drop rates are different, and which ones drop, and they moved a lot of the good lines from Epic. They moved those to unique tier instead, and then said it was unintended. I don't know if that's true or not, or if they're just trying to rebalance. Yeah, I mean, we'll never know, I guess, but I'm pretty sure they just didn't realize how imbalanced it was and moved it up, made it more difficult. But yeah, so the main thing is why this system is like kind of weak for us is because we don't have those red cards that they have in non-reboot. That's basically like cubes for familiars that they can just use over and over to just reset their potential, and we don't have that. So we're just banking on quantity over quality, basically. You just want to get as many as you can and just reveal them all, and if they're shit, extract them, and if you're going over, then you can fuse, basically.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. That all makes sense for familiars?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Was there anything else like that where there's like a system in the game where you think you could learn some more? Or do you want to talk about Lotus and Damien? Or?
Oh, well, I think I can eventually get to that, because like if you tell me all the mechanics now, I feel like my brain is just too small to like think about it like when I eventually get to it, which is like in like a year. Like my timeline for this game is so like very long. But so yeah, I just feel like I'll forget when I kind of want to focus more on like I guess like what I can do right now to like make things better, but because I feel like I'll just forget like a lot of stuff.
Sure. So I have Lotus and Damien runs also uploaded on my YouTube channel. What I'm planning to do for Lotus and Damien is to take the really long runs, like the almost half-hour runs, well, pretty much half-hour runs of my Cannoneer, and just like dissect them completely. And for every situation where I am, like, okay, why am I standing here? What am I doing here? What am I looking out for? What are the possibilities? And why am I doing what I'm doing? Like a complete like dissection of the boss. I've done this for Chaos Papulatus as well. And I'll probably, that's what I forgot. I probably need to do a new one on my Adele, because then the run will be slightly longer and there's more of the mechanics to actually engage with. Because if I take one of my strongest characters, it's just like, oh, here's CPAP, you just hold button down and brrr, and then he's dead. Like, that doesn't help anyone. So you have to really showcase all of the skills, and you hopefully see a lot of situations that are kind of outliers, but they're always in the back of your mind, like this could happen and then that could happen, and these things could happen at the same time. So you always want to, basically in the beginning, every single situation that happens in the boss fights is a new thing that catches you off guard, right? It's like, I don't know if you play League of Legends, but every single champ you're facing does things that you haven't engaged with before.
Oh yeah, I've played my fair share of League of Legends.
Yeah, and like your first like 40 games is just like, what's going on, basically? Because I haven't even seen this champ yet. Why is she behind me now? And why am I dead? Like,
so every new champion that comes out, that happens.
And then on top of that, MapleStory also has like a bunch of visual glitches and sometimes effect glitches that you just have to play around, because there's just never going to get fixed. So
part of the gameplay.
Yeah, you have to play around it as best as you can. Yeah, it just it just makes it a little bit harder to make sure that you are playing on hard mode. But yeah, so I think like doing the in-depth videos there, just looking at those once you get to the point where you really are like, okay, I can actually contribute to the boss fight now, so I want to know what I'm doing and not just, just run around like a headless chicken and trying to not die. Because that feels a little shitty when you know that you have the capacity within your character, but you don't have any of the mechanical skill. It feels mismatched, right? You don't want that mismatch to be there. In general, though, I think just going in practice mode and just getting stomped on a few times can give you a very good idea of how much improvement you can still make, just to kind of see like where's your baseline of zero knowledge, and then so you can see your improvement, because I think that can give you a lot of positive energy and hope for like, oh, I'm actually really improving and I'm doing a lot better. Because if you wait very long until you're already super strong, it can be very confrontational, like, wow, I'm this strong but I can actually do nothing to this boss, I'm so bad. And I don't think that you want to start from that negativity, but you want to start more from like, okay, I know absolutely nothing. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna get absolutely stomped, and it's like, okay, but you have no expectations of yourself at that point, right? Because you know you're gonna get stomped. So it's more of a neutral baseline, and then you can start improving from that. So
yeah, I'm for sure definitely going to practice. Like, I know Lotus, like, the mechanics are so... Like, in the story version, like, I just tanked everything, and I was like, la la la. But, like,
yeah,
that's
it's
not...
a little
That's
different.
not gonna... Yeah.
Well, for Lotus, there's like a few things I could definitely say. So for the laser phase, you can teleport through the laser when it's at the bottom. When it's vertical, right, then you have the minimal amount of surface area of the laser.
Oh, true.
So always teleport through it. That way you can stay on the bottom. That way you don't have to rotate, because when you rotate, debris can fall on you, knock you to the side. Robots can stun you, do things to you, lock you, slow you. You know, they can fuck with you. The teleport
Not
can
the
maybe... they're annoying so much. The teleport can maybe lag, and the laser can still hit you, stuff like that. So anything you can do to avoid having to rotate in phase 1 is great. And you have a very low cooldown or no cooldown teleport that allows you to stay on the bottom. So that's great. And you have chain lightning that bounces to the robots. So phase 1 should be like very controlled for you, basically. The only thing that can mess you up is debris falling and knocking you into the direction of the laser coming when the laser is sped up. So that's one thing to take into account. Like if you see debris coming, but debris like materializes in the air first before it actually falls. Right, so you can see it coming a little bit ahead of time. In the past, it would materialize outside of the map and it would come into the map with fall speed already. And that was actually quite a bit more tricky to survive. Now you can see where the debris is going to be falling. So that's the only thing is like, because the big debris stuns you for a little bit. And then, not being able to move for a little bit, and then the laser catching up to you. But yeah, fast laser, that's the one thing to look out for. But that's the thing you can practice, right? The longer the phase takes, the more chance that the laser speeds up. And yeah, it's just going to be a timing of teleport. But other than that, your phase 1 should be pretty clean.
Okay.
Yeah. Phase 2 is typically the easiest phase. The only difficult thing there is the platforms. You have to look out for the platforms that fall and the laser on the ground. That's the one big thing. So if platforms fall, make sure you're not standing underneath them. Otherwise, they will break, damage you, and stun you. And you will be out of one spot where you can stand on. So that's true. Yeah, that's the only thing to look out for. Especially when you're in a party, right? Because you don't want to kill the safe spots for your party. Because then you're not just getting carried or not helping. You're actually doing the opposite of helping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But some champions have like up jumps, floats, can fly. There's like have iframes that they could use. So there's some outplay capabilities there, but you don't want to have to, push them to that if it's avoidable. So the main thing is keep your distance from Lotus himself, because he has a long range attack and he will push you. So that's the main thing. But he has a max range, right? As soon as you're in his range, he'll try to push you. So if you just walk out of it a little bit, he'll just miss you, because he's always trying to hit you, as soon as he can. So you kind of have to kind of visualize a certain hitbox around him where he can hit you, and then as soon as he activates his attack, if you just walk back 3 pixels the opposite side, you'll just completely dodge his attack. So sometimes you want to go closer to him to actually bait his attack, so you still have room to retreat. So it's constantly going to be like, but you have to have a little bit of practice, so so you visually have like a better idea of like, okay, this far is safe, this far is not safe, right? But yeah, that only comes with practice, and you can watch like 10,000 videos, but unless you actually go into the boss fight and get like thrown around into the platforms a few times and then die to a laser, you just won't get that same experience. So yeah, just going in with very low expectations and just like absolutely getting dominated will, I think, give you a way better idea of... I think it also gives you good appreciation of what other people who might be carrying or might be doing a lot more damage, what they had to go through as well to get to that point where they are. So that way you can like value the actual drops from the boss, I think, in a way better light as well. Because if you have no idea what's going on, it's just like, well, I have Absolab now. What does that really mean, right? What did that mean for the first people who started playing before 5th Job even came out? To
the pioneers of MapleStory.
Yeah, when it was like 50 drops per 1 coin and stuff, and the items were 5 coins each, and then the weapon was 10 or something. Yeah, like what did it mean for those people to have Absolab back then, and how has the game changed over time? But get a bit off topic, but yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, and then 3rd phase is just like all of the things combined, plus debris that falls that one-shots you, plus purple ball phase, which is just a joy, you know. Yeah, just a joy. He just shoots one-shot balls all over the map, and you just keep teleporting around and walking and hope that it doesn't hit you, you know?
I'll be excited when I have to do that.
Yeah.
I have to learn that.
Oh yeah, if you see big blue and orange balls floating around, try not to jump into them, because sometimes they have like auto hitbox reset, where they just like, instead of hitting you like once every 0.5 seconds, they just hit you like once every 0.05 seconds, where it's just like, and you just like get machine gunned down. Yeah, so
I will avoid the orange balls.
Yeah,
and the yellow ones.
Yeah, they start small and then they just get huge. So, like immediately. And in the last phase, he usually summons 2 at a time as well, while there's debris falling, and then while he's in the purple phase. So it's like, it's cool. It's just all the elements together. But yeah, that's the situations to look out for. Like when everything is happening at the same time, what do you do in those situations, right? If it's 1 or 2, it's generally pretty easy. But Lotus is way less forgiving because you only have 5 lives.
Yeah,
so
that's really scary.
Yeah, so especially considering some glitches. Like if you go in a party, sometimes the platform falls and you jump onto it for safety, and it just isn't there. You just fall through it. It's just gone. And then you have to really quickly go to another platform or use your ethereal form, right? As your iframe.
My iframe. I have like another iframe, my bind, I think.
Yeah, I think your iframe, your bind is also an iframe, yeah. Which you could probably, if you're going in a party, the Kana's going to be binding, and then he's going to be either bound or unbind cooldown. So you're using your bind for an iframe will probably be safe and won't offset the bind cooldown. You know how that works with bind cooldowns and stuff?
I know, like, cause I've done like Pink Bean, and like when you bind him, you can't bind him again.
Yeah, have you seen have you seen in the bottom left? There's like a yellow message that pops up when you try to do that. Yeah, so it's 90 seconds after the bind ends until a new bind can take effect, basically.
Because I had like Urda Nova from when I was a bishop, and I was like trying to bind him twice, and I was like, it's not working.
It says a resist, right? It gets like a big resist over it. Yeah, so if it's within 90 seconds. So if the Kana is bounded recently and you're waiting for the next bind, and even if you accidentally hit your bind for the iframe, but you hit it, it'll probably just resist anyway. So this shouldn't be a problem. But you want to look out for that you don't accidentally bind it with a shorter bind, or in a situation where people aren't prepped and don't have their buffs up, so they can't burst it, because then you could offset the cooldowns of everything, and then it can get a little bit tricky. But I think if you use the bind and you just face away, I don't think you target around you, right? It's only in front of you.
Yeah, I think so if I don't Pepega, it should be fine.
Yeah, if you don't, as long as you don't Pepega, you're good. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And Damien is also just like a lot of... Damien just has some more frustration things where you just have to know, like, oh, if he does this or this, you just have to wait 2 or 3 seconds before you approach him. Otherwise, you keep getting knocked around, taking damage, taking stacks, and then you have to cleanse all the stacks. So solo, you get all the stacks, all the passive stacks, and if you get hit more in the beginning, you'll get hit by a lot more attacks just because you're practicing how to dodge. And you just build up stacks super quickly. You get the 7 stacks, you die, you get an extra sword, there's an extra, obstacle, you get to dodge even less, you get more stacks, another sword, and then you're just like gone. I mean, all the subsequent swords are temporary though, so eventually you get through those. But if you have a party members, the stacks get more divided over more people, but there's also possibly more people getting hit, and the dodge mechanics get a little bit different. Like if he's dashing to the side in phase 2, you can just duck underneath if you're solo. But if you're multiple people, typically that doesn't really work, and you still get knocked back. So you have to dodge him in a different way by either getting behind him or getting over him, but I don't think you have any kind of up jump, so I guess your only option is to stay close and get behind him. But those are like things that you learn when you're like, oh, I thought I knew this mechanic, but now I have one extra person on the map, and now it doesn't work anymore. So having a lot of different team compositions can help you gain quite some insight from different angles for these boss fights as well. But yeah, hopefully by the time you get to that point, I'll have my more in-depth videos for Lotus and Damien done, and then hopefully that will give you might be long, but then at least you'll see a lot of different scenarios, and you'll be like, oh, I recognize this one. This is where you probably get fucked unless you have this one thing. So this is time for the escape button. Because, you know, iframes are very powerful tools, but you don't want to blow them, right? It's like blowing your flash or your heal or whatever in League.
Yeah.
Like, they can be the difference between getting out of a dodgy situation or actually securing that kill, but you want to use them as little as possible, but you still want to kind of use them as much as possible, which if it makes sense, right? If you have them and you know that the amount of situations where you're definitely going to need them is very, very limited, it's pretty low risk to use them. But in the beginning, you might use them a little bit too quickly because there are too many situations that you just don't know, like, okay, I'm panicking, panic button, save me, Jesus, like, take the wheel. But then when the situation comes very close after, that's actually a higher risk situation, then you don't have your iframe. But luckily you have two, so you can, play around with that, Okay, so you don't have like a specific goal then, or you just want to, keep leveling, keep progressing, and just see where...
Yeah, just keep progressing. Like, what items should I be aiming for, like, that kind of thing. I don't really have, like, not, like, super hardcore, but, like,
And with your guild, there's, like, specific runs or specific bosses that you want to do together with your guild, or...
Oh, I'm just, like, kind of in my guild because people told me to join a guild to like, progress, but, like, I don't really feel like it... do the guild skills, like, do much? Like, I don't know, I'm kind of just in my guild.
Well, it depends on what level you guys get, right? So, depending on your flag race ranking, and if you do guild PQ, you'll get skill points throughout the week, and then on Monday, the guild leader or whoever has the rights to can put skill points in. Have you looked at your guild skills? Which ones are leveled?
I think they're like level 20 or like the guild is like level 20 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, my mule guild has like 3 skill points per week, so it's kind of scuffed. But
do you have to participate in like GPQ to like get the skills, or like?
No, you just get points based on how well your guild does. But the more people participate, the more points you get. So the easier it is to like maintain. I should be
helping out.
Well, if you're planning on using the skills, it's a nice thing to... Yeah, it would be the nice thing to do to help out.
Probably a deadbeat. I just do my cap my contribution points. That's like all I do.
Okay. Yeah, like if you're like planning on AFKing anyway, and there's a flag race soon, you just go to town, go into the flag race, and you just AFK. That's already like 10 points every single time, so that helps a little bit for sure. And guild PQ, I mean, in the beginning, it's really weird because you have like a 10-minute waiting time that you're just sitting there, but the whole guild PQ in itself is not very long. I think it's all done within 20 minutes basically. So it's not like, and it's only once a week as well, so it's not like a huge chunk of your time. And the more people show up, the more fun it is, and a bunch of people are going to DC anyway, so so you almost need like a decent amount of people to make sure that some of those actually make it. But yeah, like with my guild, I think we have like between 15 and 16 people or something usually showing up, so it's not huge. And I do some flag races, try to do at least 1 or 2 a day. And we don't have a huge guild either. I mean, we all are level 25, but we're not like a huge guild, but we get just over 30 skill points per week. So it allows you to yes, that's already quite a lot. So that allows you to max out the critical skill and the regular damage skill. So you can just alternate between those two when you're using, because then they have a half-hour duration with an hour downtime, or hour cooldown. So a half-hour uptime, half-hour downtime. So you could alternate between the two skills to use them for training, so you can just always be stronger, basically. So that can help your progression as well with your character, just be able to, one-shot faster or two-shot faster.
Yeah, that's definitely my problem right now. Like, I can't one-shot mobs, so everything's so slow.
Yeah, it'll be a combination of everything, so that's why we're like doing the base foundations now. But we'll probably get into like specifically how all the systems work and which ones are more important. And then look at how you can make progress in all of the systems at once without taking away from, your enjoyment of the game, I guess, or how you want to play the game. Okay, so just general progression. So, I mean, like, from the bat, like, the huge thing is going to be arcane power and node stones, like your node levels. Those are just insanely important, right? Because that works on your final damage, and final damage is just where it's all at. Like, anything in final damage that you can increase, just make sure that every single other thing you have just progressively keeps getting stronger and just scales better. That's why for you, because you have Infinity, right, which gives you a lot of final damage, you want to make sure that Infinity lasts as long as possible, so that means that buff duration is something that's also very valuable for you.
Oh no, so I have to make a mech?
Among other things, yeah, mech is going to be very valuable for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Is you not looking forward to mech, no?
No, do not like mechs. Back when Resistance came out, I was like, they just look so dumb, I thought. No offense to mechs. No offense to mechs.
Oh my god, the 3 mech mains that still exist are so offended right now, yeah. I don't know, I thought mech was okay, but it definitely depends on how big your legion is and how many link skills you already have and everything. Just to, you know, to be the difference between you're just like endlessly trying to tear something down to actually your summons doing something and helping you progress rather than just, you know, being little tickle monsters.
Yeah, that's me right now.
Which definitely happens in the beginning when you're not very funded. Then it's just really slowly, yeah, death by a million tickles, baby. Basically, yeah. Okay. So how are we gonna do this? So there's like a few things, I guess, like systems in the game that I want to know, like what your general understanding is of these things and how we can get your understanding to a certain base level that will help you like understand everything we're going to be talking about, and also kind of understand why the priorities are what they are, so that you can have a, you know, more of a general understanding yourself rather than rely on other people for information. And then also, if any kind of new system comes out, you'll immediately be able to see like, okay, where does this compare to everything that already exists? And, you know, like if something like a familiar system comes out, and you have some kind of idea of like what the input for the system is, you'll immediately be able to see like, okay, where does this kind of like rank on my priorities right now? Is this something I can do a little bit on the side, or I could just wait a few months and see what happens with it? Or is it something I need to get in on immediately because it's super valuable, basically? So, well, I already mentioned, so Arcane Power, that all makes sense, right? When you get the bonuses and stuff?
Yeah.
For the whole Matrix, does that all make sense, how that all works?
Yeah, I'm working on trying to get more nodes. Like, the problem is I just don't have any node stones, like, so that's like the problem. I know the boost nodes are like super important and can like really change your final damage.
Yep. Yeah, in the beginning, you're just starved for nodes, right? So you're gonna get a lot of them from event stores, right? That's where you can get a lot. I think there's pretty sure there's a box in the phase 3 for the shop. They're one of those Mitra boxes. I don't know if you've had those before.
Oh, I saw the patch notes for the next phase, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so just every week you can open them, like those repetitive box type thing. Yeah, so the main thing is to get your set of trinodes. I don't have your matrix set up here, but like.
Oh, should I send that? It's really nothing. There's just like nothing there.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Start from the ground up then. So, you know about the enhancement slots for the Matrix?
Yeah. Someone told me to enhance Ice Age, so I did to like max. And then I also enhanced Holy Symbol, I think. Yeah. Was I supposed to do that?
Well, did you level up the slot? Because if you did, there's like no harm, no foul, right? You could just move
you can just change it, yeah.
Yeah, you could just move them around, so there's no problem. What's more valuable to do is that you level up one slot at a time all the way to 5, and then go to the next one, because that way you can like maximum boost whatever's in there.
Yeah, that's what I did. Okay.
Nice. Let's see, because I think so. For Ice Age does do a lot of damage when it's out. The main thing you look out for when you're leveling up skill nodes is if you get higher uptime for it.
Okay.
That's generally what you're looking for. And Ice Age stays, from what I can see, 15-second duration.
It's always 15.
60
so
cooldown. Yeah.
A different one for that?
There's two schools of thoughts here. So one thing to absolutely know would be to do like a battle analysis check, right? With one setup, and then do one with the other setup, and test both for like 15 minutes and see if there's any kind of significant difference. Because let's say that Ice Age, by boosting it just enough, you get to the point where it can two-shot and actually just kill everything right before it respawns again. So you get full map clear for those 15 seconds. That could be effective enough to overtake leveling up a boost node that's maybe a lowish level that takes you from like 5-shotting to 4-shotting or something, just to give an example, right? That could be enough to offset that. But once you start getting into the realm of 2-shotting monsters or even 1-shotting with your regular skills, because you're putting your boost nodes into the boosted slots, at that point you start getting into the realm of always being able to clear some or maybe even most of the spawn before it respawns. And at that point, your just general base rate is going to be kind of the same point as whether Ice Age is active or not. And with Ice Age, it's just going to be easier, and you'll just pop it and be able to move around the map and loot without, you know, having to worry about things disappearing. And you'll basically use it as that. I always wanted to say, like, in general, just aiming for your boost nodes in the beginning, just to get like a good steady 3-shot, 2-shot, maybe 1-shot out of your skills that have 100% uptime that you're always using, feels more valuable, especially also for boss fights, right? Because then if you invest too much into Ice Age when you're doing bosses, Ice Age I think does pretty much nothing, right? So yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe it helps with golems and in Lucid or something. I don't know. So. But yeah, if you're talking about investing just in the slots themselves, like there's no problem there whatsoever. It's more like, because how I almost interpreted what you said also is like if you extract a bunch of nodes and then you with the nodes you buy extra Ice Age nodes to level up Ice Age, for example, that could be a bit of a detour from efficiency. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But Ice Age is definitely a very powerful tool for you for mobbing. And does get a lot stronger as well, right? Because it more than doubles in damage when you max it compared to level 1, so that is quite useful. But yeah, I would definitely focus on the boost nodes. So you know which skills you're aiming for with your boost nodes, which ones you want?
The trio, the trio thing, right? So like Chain Lightning, oh my god, my brain. The Frozen Orb thingy and
Frozen Orb thingy, yeah.
And then there's like this Lightning Orb thing.
Yeah.
I think that those are. I should know my skilled names, but they're all just like.
I mean, that's a. You're being too hard on yourself right there. I don't know half the names of my skills. Okay, how do I look for this? Mage. Here we go. Chain Lightning, Frozen Orb, Lightning Orb.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's actually called Frozen Orb? That's so lame.
Yeah, you'd think something like Glacial Sphere or, you know, like something.
It's like a skill. It's so lame.
Frozen Orb, wow. At least it's not like Cold Circle or something, you know? It could be even more basic.
Yeah, it could be more lame.
Sparky Circle, Cold Circle, Chill Circle, yeah. Chill Zone.
That's the first job.
You just call it the Chill Zone, actually.
That's pretty much what Ice Age is.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of Ice Age, like we have just entered the Chill Zone.
Exactly.
Have like an extra voice pack.
They should make a MapleStory voice. Well, they kind of already have. I guess if you play like Demon, you already have the voice pack.
Oh yeah, you sure did. You heard it.
Oh, Exceed.
Yes.
Exceed. It's so. Some of the lines are so funny.
It's so edgy. Sorry. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I know. I love it so much.
Overload release.
Oh, that was really good. Wait,
yeah, are
you the voice actor?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess they sometimes do Blizzard, Alkinus, and Thunderstorm, but that's probably later on in the game once you have more slots available. Yeah. So, do you have any tries so far?
I have. Somebody was telling me something about like how the most used skill, if it's on the left side of the trio, you can like do something.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So what you're aiming for first is what's called trios, right? When you have all three of the skills that are ones that you want to use and you want to have in your final result. The reason is because you could spread them over more boost nodes, but then it goes at the expense of how many skill nodes you can activate. So you want to condense them. The highest level that you can boost is level 60. 10 of those levels are going to come from the node slots, and then 50 are going to come from the 2 nodes that your skills are on, with 25 being the highest level that one node can go up to. Right? So
Jeez.
every skill is going to be part of 2 boost nodes that each are 25, together 50, plus the 5 that each of the nodes are in that are boosted. So 5 and 5 extra, so 50 plus 10, 60 is the highest that you can get, which will give you plus 120% final damage if it's a 4th job skill.
Okay.
So we're looking for 3 tri-nodes, as we call them, that all 3 have Chain Lightning, Frozen Orb, and Lightning Orb in them. And you want to look for, it's on the visually it's on the left, and when you hover over the node, it's like they're like, they're like 1, 2, 3 horizontally, and like the one that's mentioned first, that's like the prime line basically of your node. And what's important to know there, why people mention that, is that every other node, boost node that you open that has the same top line or like visually on the left of your node, you'll be able to use those as fodder to level up your tri-node that you have. And it only matters what the top line is there when it comes to enhancement, and it'll just enhance whatever 3 are on the node you are enhancing, which will be your tri-node. So even if the other 2 are like completely different skills, doesn't matter. The top skill is like the most important one.
Okay.
So as in the beginning, you'll level up pretty fast, and then as you get higher level, you need a little bit more experience, and you'll need to use more nodes to enhance it. But what's important in the beginning is that you're looking for those tri-nodes, even if you just have nodes with, the 2 skills you use most, maybe Chain Lightning and Frozen Orb, for example, or you have one with Frozen Orb and Lightning Orb. It's important though that the top skill, or the one that visually is on the left, that is definitely one of the 3 in the trio. So if you have something with like a shitty top skill, but then it has Chain Lightning and Frozen Orb, you probably still don't want to use that or invest in it, because eventually that's not going to be one of your tri-nodes that you're enhancing. So eventually you'll have to extract it. And the higher you go, the worse the efficiency goes on extracting, and you'll lose a lot of... you basically won't get a lot of shards back, is what I'm saying, once you level it up too hard. So in the beginning, you can use 2 out of 3s, but make sure that the top skill is either Chain Lightning, Frozen Orb, or Lightning Orb.
Alright. Sounds good.
Yeah, so once you have those 2 boost nodes, right, with those 3 skills, you definitely want to put them in the enhanced slots for a lot of extra bonus levels in the beginning. And then when you're leveling them, you'll also see in the matrix setup that you see through your 5th job skill window, you'll see like how much they're boosted, not in the matrix, sorry, just in the 5th skill window in your skill tab. You'll be able to see what level they're boosted to, and you'll also see the extra effects there, right? Sometimes it's critical rate, sometimes it's like hit 1 extra target, I think, at level 20, and then at level 40, it's usually 20% IED. And that's going to help you with the harder boss fights by getting more IED.
What should I do with my like my shards that I get from like extracting?
Yeah, so I think since you're only looking for 2 tri-nodes and you have a bunch of skills, I think you have a bunch of lower level skills that you all don't want to use, right? Because you have a bunch of ice and lightning from first, second, and third job. It's probably best to craft... probably best for you now to craft boost nodes that have one of the skill. So when you craft a boost node, you can choose what the top skill is, and then the other 2 will be random. So that way you already eliminate a bunch of possible shitty ones, and you increase the chances of making one of your tri-nodes. If you don't make a tri-node, then you'll always be able to transfer it later into a tri-node. But there is a little bit of risk there, right? Because you have 3 skills that you're looking for, and you want to make 2 tri-nodes, so one of the skills is never going to be a top line. So if you end up making a lot of those, and you end up getting the other 2, then you still have to extract all of those. So you probably want to like evenly kind of like distribute among the 3 to see if you get lucky. If you already have one that's 2 out of 3, then just make for that one. If you make the actual 3 out of 3 tri-node, then you can take your 2 out of 3 and use that to enhance the 3 out of 3, and then all of the experience will be transferred.
Okay.
And if you don't end up making the 3 out of 3, just throw them into the 2 out of 3 until eventually you get the 3 out of 3. That all make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. And then once your boost node get pretty high level, like they're all level 15, and they're in level 5 slots, so the total gets to the 40 point, at that point you also want to think about leveling up your skill nodes. So maybe your Ice Age, maybe your... is it like... There's one skill that you use that did like so much, like you were attacking the Slurpee fruit, right? And you were like kind of like tickling it, and then you used like one skill and kind of like blew it up, like a lightning barrage or something.
Oh, wait, is it lightning orb. Is lightning orb the thing?
No, it was a 5th job. Like it just came raining down
Oh.
lightning from the sky. And just
It's lightning barrage. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's a
Yeah,
really strong skill. Holy shit. Yeah,
it's good.
I've
It's
never
really
used
good.
that one. Is that the 3rd V for you guys? Like is it?
I don't know because I had to get all my like nodes. I
Yeah,
had
you
to
got a lot
craft
of
that
ones.
node
Yeah.
because I just wasn't getting it.
Oh wait, you didn't get it on the job
Because
announcement?
I switched jobs.
Ah,
From,
okay,
I
yeah.
didn't realize bishop mobbing was definitely not it.
It's wasn't it Chief? No.
No, it's not.
Okay. Wait, is that the actual name? Oh, Bolt Barrage. Yeah, that
Yeah.
did a lot of damage. Yeah. So it also stays. You get the same amount of bolts, same amount of cooldown, but the damage is massive. Goes from 780% damage to 1650 unmaxed. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so generally I use this like when you start leveling the skill nodes. Generally I just like Google the skill just to double check to make sure like okay, which ones give me maybe more uptime. In the olden days it would be like hit more monsters for more lines, but typically these days skills hit the same amount of monsters, same amount of lines like day 1 to day infinity. But it's more like the percentage and maybe the uptime. So if the uptime goes up or some kind of percentage goes up, then that takes precedent, that takes priority. But otherwise, it's just, you know, whichever one just you use the most or... yeah, like if Ice Age still like 3 ticks and maybe doesn't clear the whole map quite as fast, then that's going to be more useful in you leveling. And that will help you train faster, that will help you level and get more nodes faster, and then that'll help you get the other ones maxed faster. So it's like, it feels like a detour maybe, but it'll just be an investment temporarily to get to the finish line faster. Okay, anything with Matrix still you have questions about?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, cool. So we did touch on IED there for a little bit, right? With the level 40 boost nodes. Do you know how IED works and how that's important?
Like, ignore enemy defense? Well, like, it's good for bossing, right? That's what I know.
Yeah.
Don't really know that much.
Why is it good for bossing?
Because bosses have a lot of defense, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. And what? So their defense is called PDR, which stands for physical damage reduction. So they have like extra armor, and your IED is the penetration that helps penetrate the armor, so that more of your damage gets through. And as the bosses get harder, the percentage of PDR that they have goes up by a lot. And at that point, your IED gets increased efficiency. Now, the kind of unintuitive part of this is that the PDR of the boss doesn't really, like, you know, we have the data somewhere in the database, but it doesn't really show up on the boss or anything. There's not like an armor stack indicator anywhere. And your IED is also doesn't go into your visual damage range. So, you know, and the numbers on bosses get so big anyway that it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Like, you're just looking at the HP bar and seeing how quickly that's moving. You're not really actively seeing like, oh, this looks like about 33% of my damage is actually getting through. Like, that's pretty difficult to see most of the time because, you know, you're training in Arcana where you get final damage from the arcane power, and then you're doing bosses that are not arcane bosses, so the numbers are already like way different anyway. Yeah, so it gets really tricky to see like, okay, well, how well am I doing here at this point anyway? Like, so you kind of have to know the maths behind it to know that you're doing the right thing, so you don't have to worry about that in the moment when you're fighting the boss. So the main thing is most bosses in the beginning, pretty low defense, doesn't really matter. Once you get the CRA, they start getting some defense, right, with hard Magnus, and then you have Gollux, start getting some defense. Then you have Helix, starts getting a more decent amount, and Chaos Vellum then has, at that point we're at 200% PDR, and then we have Lotus, Damien, and everything higher all has 300% PDR.
Jeez.
Yeah, geez, exactly. So that's when you need to start stacking a lot of IED, which feels weird because it doesn't increase your range, but it does increase your damage, and that kind of like revolves into like, why is your range actually still a thing in the game? Good question. Don't really know because it doesn't apply anywhere. It just is a number. But yeah, so to get into the maths real quickly without getting too in depth. So basically, all the IED is calculated as individual sources. Some internal sources stack on themselves and then get used as one source. Like, for example, your hyperstats, right? If you take one level, it gives you 3%. But it doesn't count as as 10 separate sources of 3%, it gets stacked into one source of high percent IED up to 30%, and then it gives you that 30%. So basically, every source of IED that you get gives you that percentage of the amount that you're still missing to get to 100%. So let's say you have 70%, and which means you're missing 30, right, to get to 100, and you add a line of 30%, then you gain 30% of that missing 30%, which is 9%. So then you go from 70 to 79.
Oh, that's so late.
Yeah, so you'll see that the further you go in the game, the more important it is to get big sources of IED, right? So if you start adding like 1 or 2% things, it doesn't really do anything. You want to get those 30, 40% lines. Those are the really chunky ones. And where do you get those? You get those on your potential. You get those in the Legion block once you unleash 6k. That's why leveling your Legion is so really big in the background. Like, having a lot of smaller sources is nice, but you don't want it to go at the expense of other things that can increase your damage more. Yeah, so have you seen the progression tab already? The Excel sheet with like in these levels you want to have these numbers and so on?
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Okay. That has like general numbers that you want to aim for within different stages of the game. That kind of takes into account like how much defense do the bosses have here, like how much PDR do they have, and what is your general balance going to be of your other stats in the game to kind of make it so that you can have your damage actually go through and hit the boss without, being scared that a lot of it is going to be blocked. So there's one extra thing to talk about there, because like I already touched on, like the range doesn't really represent anything accurate, right? The IED in your window is actually also inaccurate, because that number represents how much IED you have, regardless of which skill you have, regardless of which skill you use, and regardless of which boss you're attacking. But as you can already probably hear now, certain attacks can have inherently extra IED, and certain bosses can be debuffed to take maybe more damage by having lower defense. So if you want to know how much your IED actually is, you'll need to calculate your functional IED. Like, functionally, how much IED do you actually have, right? And again, like, you kind of have to know the maths behind this, but once you kind of know what all of your sources of IED is, and there's a calculator for that, you can just put all the individual sources in, and it'll just give you the number. And that number is where you want to like aim between these. So like functionally, you're going to aim for like 90 to 92 within like the next 10 levels, and that goal for that is basically to be able to do CPAP, solo CRA, and be able to party Lotus Damien, right? Which is kind of like the next stage that you're going for.
Yeah.
So in general, kind of everything that I'm doing now is to try to get you like in line with everything that's on the screen right now. But like there's a lot of level. So the leveling, that's up to you, right? You have to go grind. Your main stat, that's mainly going to be from upgrading stuff and your potential. Crit rate, that's going to be a combination of hyperstats, links, and legion, mainly, and then some inherent kit, of course. Functional damage is partially going to be leveling, right? Because in Reboot, we get extra damage as you level up. And part of it is going to be from boss damage. So for that part, so boss damage and damage bonus, those are essentially the same, but only the damage bonus part applies when you're fighting non-boss monsters. And when you're fighting boss monsters, they both apply, but they just get thrown into a big pile. Yeah, but that's additive. So you can imagine if you already have like 800% and you add 10% more, it's not that efficient, right? It kind of loses efficiency as you get a huger chunk. It's different if it's, for example, final damage, because final damage multiplies all of the sources you already have because it's multiplicative. So you can just keep infinitely stacking that and it'll just always be good. So it's like a different way of looking at that damage. But, before you get to the point where it becomes inefficient to stack this, you will literally be like around 800, 900%. So a lot of times it's still a pretty good source to stack. Unless it goes at the expense of percentage magic attack for you, right? Because that's way more rare. You have way less of that. So those, when you come across those potential lines, that's way more valuable for you.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all about the balance, right? Like, what can you have a lot of? What can you not have that much of? And how do they interact with each other? So IED, very important because you need that penetration. But if you have only penetration and no damage, then your no damage gets through, but there's no damage going through. If you
Yeah,
have
true.
only damage and no penetration, then you have a lot of damage, but none of it gets through, and you have the same end result. So there's like a harmonious balance between these sources. And that's why the WSE, right, the weapon secondary emblem, are so important, because those three have access to the attack, to the boss damage, and to the IED, which is your foundation of making sure that you have enough damage and making sure that it actually gets through to the bosses.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all of a much lower priority, of course, if you're mainly focusing on mobbing. Doesn't really matter that much. But if you want to be prepared for bossing, then having those three at a certain level, to be able to make sure that your damage gets through, that's very important.
Okay.
Yeah, so for IED, there's a calculator. If you check exclamation mark IED, then you can put all of the this one. You can just put all of the sources in there, and it'll just give you whatever number here, and then that's the number that you can use to check in the progression milestone if you're like on the right track, basically.
Oh, okay, I see.
So let's say that you use chain lightning, basically 80% of the time or something, and chain lightning itself has like 20 IED on it or something. I'm just, just to guess. Then you can basically add that and see, because yeah, if you're like close to 90 or maybe like at 91, and you're like, okay, but I have a little bit, you could be close enough to it. So it's not like an exact science. None of this is like super exact, but it's all like general thresholds that you want to aim for.
Okay.
Yeah, so ID makes sense?
Yep.
Cool. Another one is crit rate, but I think you have a decent amount of that, right? Oh, you have 50, yeah. So critical damage is, after final damage, probably the second most important multiplier, because there's, again, it works on all the critical hits, which eventually will be all of your hits. And it also has like a final damage property, but it's not multiplicative like final damage is, but it's additive. So it does have reduced efficiency the higher you go, but since there are so few sources of it, it takes you basically still always want to keep stacking it, because it doesn't go all the way up to like 300% or something. Like, it stays pretty low, so therefore comparatively it stays pretty efficient. But for in order it to really kick in and be efficient, you need your crit rate at 100%, right? Always, otherwise it doesn't always apply, and it becomes like an RNG thing. For that, I have so crit rate is like a very important base there. I have exclamation mark crit to have like the sources for critical rate, and also has the sources for critical damage. So you can use these as like general things, like what do I want to go for? Some of these are just mentioned because, it's cool to know all of the ones. But I do like prioritize the ones that are, most easily to access, and also are the most influential on getting your crit rate up, basically. But this is definitely going to segue into Link skills and Legion and building that, because Link skill and Legion is not only useful for like end game and getting those big chunks of critical damage, IED, boss damage, but it's also very helpful in the beginning when you need a little bit of help with your crit. When if you're just purely power leveling, you can maybe even move it into extra experience bonus. Like, it gives you that flexibility to buff your character however your character needs to be buffed. Like, some characters start with a lot of crit rate, so you can just give them crit damage. Some characters start with a lot of crit damage, so you can give them crit rate, right? To kind of like balance out what their flaws are. So that's definitely gonna like segue into how important the Link skills and the Legion are. Have you like started at all with that? I think
I have some. Wait, how much time do you have? Because like I kind of need to go at in 30 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just keep track of your time. Yeah, I think that'll be good.
So
yeah.
It's okay if you don't get to go too in depth in into everything. I totally it's like I'm the time limit, right? So
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah.
So it's okay if you don't go too in depth.
For link skills, I would just definitely say check the link skill command out. So I put all of them on here, which is like a lot of numbers, but in general, this is the logic, like why they are where they are. And it's not always this makes your main character stronger, therefore you need to have it. But sometimes, like I said, you just need it to have access to it so that when you're training other characters, you can use that to make those characters worse. Like, you hate the mechanic. Well, maybe the mechanic is bad because it has no crit rate, and therefore it just hits like, you know, like you're swinging a wet noodle around or something. So getting that crit rate in place might actually make it hit way harder, make it way more enjoyable, or like less horrible, I guess, and just make it go way faster, and then you can move on to the more fun stuff instead. So the general progression here will just help you blow through your Legion and your links faster, basically. Sorry, I interrupted you. We're gonna.
Oh no! Wait, should I just make a Phantom then or something? Like,
Phantom
what
is
do you think would be, like...
very good starter. Yeah, it gives you a lot of crit rate. So every other character that you start, because typically some characters get critical rate, right? But they maybe get a little bit in second job, maybe a little bit in fourth job. But before you get to that point, the Phantom can just make it so they already start hitting like trucks when they're only like level 30. And they just get to that point way faster, and then you can, especially now that you can move the link skills twice a day, you have way more liberty to just move that skill around and grow your Legion out in the beginning. Yeah.
Because I already have like Merc, Aaron, and Evan at like level 2 link skill.
Okay.
So I think I can. Yeah, I guess I'll just make a Phantom then.
Yeah, mechanic is a definitely a good pick in the beginning. Yeah. But yeah, again, this is like general advice, right? It's not like 100% you have to make this one before you can make the next one. It's just in general, making them in these order, and some of those, they will just help the other ones way more. And then as your Legion starts growing, you start putting more characters on the grid, and the member bonuses start coming in, not just the link skills, but the member bonuses as well. And then the grid bonuses, everything will just start snowballing. And then at the end, once that snowball is complete, like definitely at 3 or 4K, you start seeing a huge difference compared to now. Eventually, once you get to 6K, you have the whole grid. And then 8K is like the big end game, because then you get a lot of extra characters on top of that. But like 3 or 4K is definitely a good goal to set for now. Because like from 2.5 to 3, you get to put 5 extra characters in. And then at 4K, you get an extra, big extra grid, so you can start moving into IED and stuff. Again, like a lot of the damage increase will be invisible for your range, right? Because it'll mainly be boss damage, critical damage, IED, and maybe buff duration and critical rate, which all don't go into your range, right? So it's gonna be, you just have to like trust on the numbers that it's working. But yeah. Yeah, this general order will just to have some kind of foothold.
A lot of stuff to work on, for sure.
Yeah, but the main thing is going to be just working a little bit on everything, which, if I understand you correctly, is something that you kind of enjoy doing, right? Just doing a little bit.
Yeah.
As long as you know that all of the things you're doing are useful and will help you get to the end goal, by rotating through these things, you'll eventually get to the end line way faster. And it'll definitely be a gradual process. But one of the things I did, for example, if I made a new character, got it to level 100, after 100, I would just do Zakum and just move on to the next character. And then every day I'd just go back to the character, do Zakum, and then, go to a different character again. Because it's the most experience you can get in a short amount of time, without having to really learn the character, really get too deep into it.
Yeah, Seth was talking to me about Zakum Academy.
Yeah.
Wait, Seth is like my sister's boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He made your flame score calculator or something like that, I think. Oh yeah, he's such a nice guy.
Yep, he is, for sure. Yeah, he said some questionable things yesterday, but he apologized, so we're good.
Okay.
Sometimes when you're joking, you can there's a line somewhere, so sometimes you pass it, but no, he's good. He's good.
Seth getting himself into trouble again. Okay.
Yeah, he weird champed himself, so yeah, they're the weird champs again.
I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that makes sense for Lynx and Legion. Oh yeah, so I put Lynx and Legion together because Lynx are very important, but Legion is also very important. So it's possible that something has a really good Lynx skill, but the Legion buff is kind of bad. And then something else, Lynx skill isn't as good, but maybe the Legion is really good. So the combination of the value that the character can have for your account is higher. And that's why maybe some characters are higher than you would expect, or maybe lower than you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as long as it all makes sense, you can always just go to that command, and it'll always be updated if anything changes. And some of the more complicated link skills have a link to it as well, which gives the explanation. So that should make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. For transfer hammering and transposing, I have a video for that I think explains everything surrounding those mechanics properly. I don't know if you've seen that one already.
I'll watch it because I know transfer hammering is like super important.
Yeah, it can definitely knowing in the beginning and starting to save up relevant things as early as possible can trickle down to having really good positive financial gains for you later down the road. Because like a very shitty level 20 item that happens to have epic potential could eventually turn into like epic Absolute gear, for example, which is basically, but if you have to wait for an epic potential scroll or throw black cubes at it, it'll be way more expensive. So some things, just the earlier you know it, the more it'll help you throughout the entire progress of the game. Yeah. So I think that's definitely a good video to help you out with that. And yeah, transposing comes into the game way later, so that's nothing for you to worry about just yet. Then the only thing left here for like the pre-things is inner ability and flame score. Do you feel like you have some kind of...
I know nothing about inner ability.
Okay, inner ability is mainly... so there's like a set of inner abilities that's considered best in slot for every class. So basically inner ability is like item potential, but you're the item. Is how you have to see it, right? You can tier up your own ability potential up to max of legendary, and then the top line is going to be a prime line, is going to be the legendary line, and then the other two for inner ability is typically they're going to be like epic lines, but there's a chance that they're unique. So what's going to be important is if you have a very vital prime line, then rolling into legendary and getting that prime line and just holding on to that is basically going to be good for a long while, basically until you get to like 250 or something, and you're trying to like really min-max stuff at that point. And then eventually what you aim for is to try to get one of those unique lines that will be very valuable but hard to get. You try to do that with the circulators, and then once you have that, all of the honor experience that you've saved up over time by killing monsters and looting and events and all of that stuff, you'll use that honor experience to roll back into a prime line that will complement, that's the word, complement that unique line that you got, and then you'll just pray to RNGs that you get something even remotely useful on the third line, but that's probably not going to happen. It's kind of what inner ability does. So the ability, so your ice lightning, so what you're looking for is attack speed, buff duration, and crit rate. So crit rate is going to be like a min-maxy thing for the end game, because there's a lot of other sources of crit rate that you can use to rely on instead. Buff duration, I already mentioned it, right? It's very important because of Infinity specifically, so that you can have more final damage for a longer period of time. And attack speed +1 will just help you make your animation shorter, so that you can move out of the way faster when you're bossing, and so you can attack a little bit faster when you're mobbing.
So how do you get the circulators?
You can go into the cash shop and buy them there. They're under the...
okay, they're mesos.
Yeah, they're 19 mil each, so they are quite expensive.
Okay.
So I have inner ability. We have the inner ability guide, which is like not scuffed at all and very professional. But so I'm guessing you're gonna stick with this character for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Because you're enjoying it. Yeah. So I would go the min-max route, which basically means you just reroll with honor experience. Did you do that last Sunday by chance?
No.
Okay. It's not super important, but on a Sunday, 50% off, you just have twice the amount of rolls for the same amount of honor. But yeah, so initially you just re-roll until you get to unique, and then you use the circulators to get to legendary, because circulators can't drop your tier, but if you're regularly rolling, it can drop your tier. So yeah, so you just roll to unique, and then you circulate to legendary, and then you'll basically be looking for either attack speed +1 or 50% buff duration. Those will be two top lines that will be really good. If you hit either one of those, you just stick with that, and then you just build honor experience over a long period of time until you have like 1 or 2 million or something, and then you can think about using circulators to get the unique line for buff duration, which will be 38 on either the second or the third line, right? Because those can be both unique but are typically epic. And then once you have that, you'll lock in that line, during a 50% off invulnerability reroll, you lock that unique line, and then you roll with your honor experience to try to get the attack speed +1 on the top line. And that's basically what you do. And then, you know, if you have points left over, you also lock the top line and the buff duration line, and then you try to get something on the third line, but that's probably not going to happen. It's, yeah, you see some people who have those crazy extra 3 useful lines, but yeah, that's not the norm at all.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so some stuff you can do about this now, but in general, it's going to be something that's just good enough and placeholder until you really commit to it later, and you just build up honor experience, basically. That all make sense?
Yeah, where can you get honor experience? Like,
sure. So the medals drop from monsters, so the more drop rate you get, the more you will get while you're training. Bosses drop a decent amount, so the more daily bosses you do, and the more weekly bosses you get in your rotation, that will help a lot. Doing dojo once per week will get you, to a certain floor, and then on Mondays, the rankings from the previous week will determine if you're within the top 70%, I think. And then depending on how far you get, you will get points, and those points you can use in the dojo shop to buy honor experience medals there. And then the other thing is just event stores, if they have them available. So just like there's going to be a no stone box in the next year, there's also going to be one of those honor experience boxes. So that could be, if you have the points, that could be a valuable thing to also invest into. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks for explaining that. I had no idea like how it worked. But
yeah, it's one of those things that kind of works on the side of the game that doesn't really, it's not really prominently visible in the game. But your invulnerability can be very, very useful, especially if you have that attack speed +1, to hit, just move a little bit faster around the map, because you get like a different cadence, a different rhythm of playing the game. Yeah, and it's just a little bit faster and a little bit more streamlined. It can feel less chunky, being able to move around faster. Yeah, and I guess the last thing is flames. I don't know if you've looked into Seth's flame score calculator already.
Oh, I kind of know if I've kind of just been like if stuff has a good flame, like I'll like be okay. Like I don't really know that much about it.
Well, so the main thing is like when is it a good flame, and how good is it compared to other items is mainly the main thing. Knowing how good it is depends on knowing what the quality of the item is. So some items inherently have a flame advantage and some don't. And if they don't have a flame advantage, your standards for them are going to be much lower. You're just going to be aiming for lower numbers, right? You've probably seen this, right? If you have like your Horntail pendant, for example, compared to your Machinator pendant, gets really different outcomes when you use a flame on it, right? Or the scores that they have. I mean, we could look at your items real quick. Like the Horntail pendant has 8 intellect, 8 luck. And the Machinator... Oh, wait, Oh, yeah. And the Machinator has 47 dex, 20 intellect, 32 luck, and 1,440 HP, right? This is like different orders of magnitude. So the one has only 2 lines, the other one has 4 lines. The numbers are way smaller. So some items just inherently don't have flame advantage, and it'll just be way worse money efficiency to throw flames on them. And the items that do have flame advantage, there'll be much more value there to flame, and they'll be able to go way higher, and also have less variance. So on average, you'll spend less as well.
Do you have a guide on like flame?
So I have the flame guide that's under !flames. It also talks about flame score. So basically with the flame score, what you try to do is compare all the items within their group of having flame advantage or not to get one score, one number, and then you can use that to compare to other items that are in the same category, so you can easily tell this one has a better flame than that one, so if I want to flame something, I want to upgrade this item first and that other item later.
Okay.
And then again, also in the progression tab, I also talk about the flame scores, like what are good flame scores to aim for in, between flame advantage and flame disadvantage. With the one exception that the higher the item goes, the bigger the discrepancy in the numbers become. So let's say you hit a flame that's like an 8 out of 10, like it's really good. It's not the best, but it's really good. If you hit an 8 out of 10 flame on an item that's level 120 with flame advantage, compared to an item that's level 200 with flame advantage, the level 200 item will have a way higher outcome, even if it's both like an 8 out of 10 objectively. So that's why at the end, once you get to the higher tier flames, there's a little bit of a variance there on how high you want to go, just because of how much bigger the numbers become in the same tier quality, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is it just certain items have higher, like, I have flame advantage?
Like higher level items?
Certain items, like
Yes,
just like
certain
what?
items. Yeah. So that's
Oh,
linked
okay, okay.
here. There's somebody made a database on a thread, and if you follow that one, this just has all the items that have flame advantage. So in the beginning, if you don't know, you can just look up. You can just Control F, look up the item, and if it doesn't show up in this list, then it doesn't have flame advantage, and it'll just get shitty flames.
Oh,
The main distinguishing feature, though, is that items without flame advantage have anywhere from 1 to 4 lines. So if you look at the cape, for example, you have 2 jump, 1% all stat, right? Items with flame advantage will have 4 lines of stat, and that's also
okay.
explained in the guide. And sometimes, like in the case of the Pink Holy Cup, this is also 4 lines, but the lines are like stuck together, right? So this one
Oh,
probably has strength, luck, and then a line of strength and luck. So then it only shows up as 3 lines, but it's actually 4 because you know that this one has flame advantage. But if you have, any of those things that you're still wondering about, you can always check the database to make sure. But a general indicator will be how big the numbers are, you know? Like if this Royal van Leon boot did not have flame advantage, there wouldn't be 62 intellect and 55 luck on there. Like that would be crazy high numbers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this Onyx Maple Buckle, I think this one has flame advantage, but it's a low level item. So as a result, the
yeah.
numbers will be still low, but there will be a lot of small numbers.
The all stats kind of positive.
Yeah, all stat saves a lot of shitty flames. Any kind of all stat you get on a low level item or on a non-flame advantage item just saves the item in its entirety, basically. Yeah. But yeah, in the beginning, flaming is also something that kind of goes on the side. The main thing you want to do is save them for your weapon, save them for higher level items that have flame advantage, and then slowly work your way down to lower level equips that still have flame advantage. But the main thing is just going to be that you use the ones you get from bossing, but your money is mostly going to be invested in star forcing and in potential until you get most of your stuff to legendary, and all of your stuff is pretty much at like 17 stars. After that is when you really start like min-maxing with your flames. Or, you have like me, you have 6 characters that do a lot of bosses and you just have an influx in flames. Then you just start, throwing them on characters to make it, there's still value in there, so. Yeah. And then, Seth has the flame score calculator, so if you want to, that takes you by the hand and you just put the numbers in, boom, gives you this score. After a while, you won't need a calculator anymore. You'll just see the numbers and you'll be like, oh, this is good. I know this is good. This is roughly this much. And then something else will be like, okay, this is horrible. I definitely need to reflame this. So that's a process that you'll just get used to, and it'll get faster and faster over time.
Cool.
All right. How much time do you have left?
Like 20 minutes?
20 minutes. Okay. Now we can actually look at your equips, which is probably what you thought this was all going to be about.
No, I learned a lot. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you taught me all that other stuff.
Yeah, some of these things probably will be more solidified once you look through the guides and will make way more sense. But I tried to hit all the base points as fast as I could without like wasting too much of your time. But still, all of this will be very recognizable once you get through the guides. And it'll give you a way better insight on what's important, what's not important, how to prioritize, and how all these things are interconnected. And as a result, why I will give the advice now for your equips that I'm going to give you, and it'll make way more sense, hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, so most important thing, what were the 3 most important things in your equips?
WSE?
Yes. So what do you think about your WSE? Knowing with everything that I just told you, like what are you thinking about your WSE?
Okay, so my book, the blue book meme, it's I'm trying to do normal Cygnus. Like I already did Cygnus this week, and it dropped like the other shield, not the mage shield, so I was really tilted. But I'm gonna do it next Wednesday or tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And then hopefully I'll get I'm trying to work on my smithing right now, but I'm trying really hard to get to the Deimos shield, so like I can not have this blue book.
Yep. So on one hand you're kind of like gimping yourself and not getting anything there. So anything you do get there is going to be a huge upgrade. So that's one thing I personally like, because you learn to settle for how strong your character is now, and that's your baseline. And then you only increase your baseline if it's a significant increase, like a new equip, maybe getting it to epic or even unique, 9% magic attack or maybe higher, and some base stats on it. And it's immediately going to be like a big jump. I don't like the small little itty bitty upgrades because it's financially less efficient and it doesn't feel as good. So it's both emotionally and objectively. It's just I don't think
Emo-
it's positive. So I like to be more like settle for what you have. Feel a little bit weaker, feel a little bit worse, but that gives you motivation. And then once you make that big jump, feels better, more financially efficient, and then you can start saving up for the next big upgrade. Yeah. So that's one. Yeah, and then your weapon and your emblem.
The potential on my, I know I'm supposed to be aiming for like magic attack on my emblem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I haven't started like hardcore cubing yet. There's like I don't have like that much money, so I'm trying to figure out like what I should prioritize, I guess.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of
What?
income in Master Craftsman cubes? Do you get those every now and then, or is that pretty low?
Wait, where do they come from?
Just bosses in general can drop them, and sometimes from like if you do those portals, right? Those bounty hunter portals, and if you harvest rocks and flowers, sometimes they drop. I think only rocks actually, like the big floating rocks and stuff.
Oh, so I should try to get Master Craftsman's cubes?
Well, so if they drop, then your emblem is like the go-to to just throw it on. The only thing you can lose here is 15 ID, and if you're not bossing a lot yet, the ID doesn't do that much. It's also only quote-unquote a chunk of 15, so it's not a huge loss if you do lose it. But there's a lot of potential gain here. Like you said, in just one line of magic attack will give you a huge difference compared to what you have now. Yeah. The downside of being at a unique is that you have to use Master Craftsman, right? You can't like mass occult cube it. The upside is it's closer to legendary, and then you can get it to legendary faster. But yeah, saving if you have a random Master Craftsman lying around, you could definitely throw it at your emblem to get like any kind of line of magic attack. But saving up like in general for maybe black cubes, red cubes, whatever, to get it to legendary and then roll in legendary, that'll be very useful. And that once you get to that point, you'll be doing more bosses, and then you want to prioritize probably one line of IED and some magic attack with that if you can get that. That'll be very important. And that's mainly because the emblem cannot get boss damage. That's only your weapon and your secondary. So you want to try to get the ID on the emblem. So that way you can still get away with boss damage and magic attack combination on both your weapon and your secondary. Which, yeah, the secondary, that'll be after once you get the extra recipe. There's something else that drops the recipe. I think it's the mutant... No, the mutant pigs drop the thief recipe. Does anyone know what else drops the mage recipe? I know for the warrior and the thief one which else drops it, but I don't know for the mage recipe. Wait, can we just Google it?
Wait, for what? For what item?
The mage shield. Like it only...
Oh, the day one. I thought it was just normal sickness.
Well, that's the easiest source, quote unquote, but there tends to be something else.
Wait, I could just be farming this?
Yeah, maybe. Official Night A, it says. And Wind and Thunder is like those shitty maps, right? With those little elemental orbs. But Official Night A and Star Force Official Night A apparently also drop it.
Oh, shit. Okay,
so those are the thieves in the stronghold. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you can get that.
Cool, thanks.
That'd be cool.
Very low chance. Okay.
Yeah, they can speed it up. Oh, yeah. Also, if your smithing isn't leveled up yet, easiest way to level up your smithing is by getting aquamarines and diamonds from harvesting the big rocks, the big veins, and the heartstones and stuff, and just making arrows. Even if you fail, you get a lot of experience from that.
So much better than like any other method.
Yeah, it's just so simple, and it's just 1/1 as well. It's no materials. It's super fast. Yeah, it's way better than everything else. Yeah, and then your weapon. One thing I will definitely say for your weapon, try to use if you haven't done it yet, use the stamp to get a third line.
Oh yeah, I have a stamp. I can do that.
Yeah. Because that line right now could be 6% magic attack, and you wouldn't even know it.
True.
So that's one. The flame is kind of okay, right? Because it gives you intellect and magic attack. So again, if you want to know if the flame is good enough, you can check the flame score calculator, right? We can do that as an example for this one real quick.
Sure.
Where is... here it is. So, because for weapons, if you look at the thing here, so I have flame score, right? Non-advantaged, flame advantaged items. What numbers you're aiming for. And for weapon, it's a little bit different because the weapon and the magic attack on weapons is a percentage of the base weapon and magic attack on the weapon. So it's a different number for every single weapon. So it's impossible to put in a grid like this, right? It would get one giant clown fiesta. And the other thing is that weapons can also get percentage damage and percentage boss damage, which is really difficult to transfer calculation into like a flame score. So I just separate those completely. So for this we need the weapon level, which is 150, right? Fafnir. So it's within this range, and you have to know if it's advantage or not, but Fafnir is flame advantage, I'll tell you now, so it saves you the research. And it's 201 base magic attack, so we put 201. And we see that we have a 65 flame, so if you look here, that's a tier 6. So then we go to progression, and you see that the weapon flame you want to aim for is either tier 5 plus, so that means tier 5 plus maybe some boss damage, some all stats, some intellect, or tier 6. So you have the tier 6, and you actually kind of have tier 6 plus, because you also have 48 intellect, so it's a little bit better. So flame-wise, you're right where you want it to be. Star Force-wise, you're already at 15, so you're just 1, 5, 10, 15 away from getting it up to 17. But the potential, right, that's something where there's still a lot of gains to be made. Now, one thing in this equation is, how quickly are you getting to Absolab, right? That's a question.
I can get carried, so...
Yeah, so if Absolab is something that's really close to you, or you're maybe even getting the fake Sulab weapon, right? That can be a big portion of like, well, how much do you really want to improve on this? Because if you're going to switch this out in a week, all of that money is just kind of going to be gone, right? Transfer Hammer only transfers up to Epic. Star Force-wise, you're not going to go into the real Absolab weapon if you're going to get a fake Absolab one first, because you have all the other Absolab items to work on first.
Wait, can it transfer Hammer to Absolab?
Fafnir can, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's level 150 into 160. So once you watch the video, so if there's like a 10 level difference, you can transfer Hammer from one into the next, yeah. And then you lose one Star Force in the process, and the tier of the potential goes down. The soul gets transferred. You know, everything that gets transferred doesn't get transferred or gets changed. That's all explained in the video. But I assume that you're doing the relay event, right? Yeah, so you could get the fake Absolab weapon, focus more on the, if you're going to get carried, focus more on getting the shoulder, the glove, the shoe, the cape, right, from the Damien and then respective Lotus shops. And then once you have all of those kind of upgraded, figured out properly, then you can circle back to getting the weapon. But your weapon will be then actually the lowest priority. The only thing you'll be doing on your weapon once you get it is flaming it. Because, you know, potential will be locked, Star Force will be locked. So the only thing you have to worry about is getting a good flame. And to know what flame you're going to be aiming for, you can just use this again. Go up to 160. I don't know what the base attack of the weapon is. It's like 297 or something. I don't know exactly, but whatever it is, you'll know what number that you're aiming for at that point. And then you just flame the weapon, and that's going to be, you know, that's going to be that.
Okay.
So if you're close to that, and or close to being carried, probably investing too much in a weapon. Very low priority here. Way higher priority is getting your shield, getting that upgraded nice and neat, and getting magic attack and maybe a line of IED out of your emblem. Those are going to be very important. So that sets the stage for the priorities. So other than that, what else is the big source of damage? Final damage, right? So that's arcane power, and that's your boost nodes. So getting as many nodes as you can, and making sure you do your symbol dailies.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. And, you know, unlocking more areas and getting, you know, even more symbols. Every new symbol for a new area, 30 arcane power, 300 stat, so that scales very well.
220. I gotta get to 220. No.
Yeah. And then to 225, and then, yeah, it just keeps going. Yeah, then you get the lovely daily of Dream Defender, and then 225 you get Spirit Savior. It's all a dream.
Can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait. Okay, so I'll just look at your general set here for a second to see what we're working with. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 boss accessory set.
I have, okay, I'm just waiting on my pocket slot, which I'm gonna get from the trait boost potion that from the Salon stamps. I just need like one more day. So that's all that the boss set's waiting on. Because I have the pink bean belt. It's just not worth switching out right now because I can't get the 9 piece anyways.
Yep. Wait, hang on. Okay, I thought the cat was meowing. Okay, never mind. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so keeping an eye on like which set bonuses go together, that's a good idea. These accessories in general are going to stick with you for quite a while. The one thing you want to look out for though, like, so since you're skipping the weapon, you're going to go for the Damien shoulder pretty quickly, right? Because it's going to be the first item there. So that's going to break up the set there again. So if you're going for the 9 set bonus, well then, what does that mean when the shoulder gets switched? Like, it's immediately gone again.
Yeah, true.
So even switching into a pink bean belt, you probably don't want to overinvest into that. Or what you could do, for example, is get the belt, but switch out one of the pendants. In this case, the weakest one, right? So the Chaos Horntail one, because it doesn't have flame advantage. And then maybe switch that one out with something. So you can use the Spirit Pendant, for example, once that comes around. So that way you still have the 7 set bonus, and you're not losing anything, but you're only gaining the experience gain at that point. So that could be an option.
Okay.
What some other people might do is switch the belt instead for the Sengoku belt, so you still have the 2 set bonus with the Kana treasure ring. That could be an option. You know, there's some options there, but they're all pretty similar. But yeah, as long as you know like that you have options and that you can move some stuff. This is pretty min-maxy, by the way. It's not like super important, but like I said before, it's going to be a bunch of small things that all work together to making you stronger. It's not like me telling you like, oh, you forgot to do this one thing. Like, you just have to make your weapon legendary and like get this thing and then it's done. No, it's a bunch of small things, right? So, but this is one of those things. Yeah, and then in general, so if you have the Abzo coming in, you don't want to overinvest into any of the stuff from the Lucid shop, right? Because that's going to be Abzo. Once it's Abzo, though, that's when you want to have money piled up, because then the flames are going to be very important. The potential is going to be important because the level 160 tier is higher, and Star Forcing is going to be more expensive because it's a higher level equip. So that's when you're going to need a lot of money. So the one thing we could do is prep in getting a lot of money. Are you doing Ursus Maple Tour for...
Yeah, welfare. My welfare is coming in. But other than that, I know I need like more drop rate, like in Mezzo drop rate and stuff, to farm. Because like otherwise it's like impossible.
Yeah.
And I need to get to 220 first to be able to farm and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, every single area has kind of like a max of how many monsters you can kill, and based on how many monsters you can kill, it kind of stunts your potential rates, yeah. Are you working on Monster Park badge on this guy?
Should I be? Is it important?
So once you do get the 7-day one, you get 10% IED from that, which is nice, you know, because once the bosses start getting harder, every source of IED that gives you something that doesn't go at the expense of something else is very valuable. And the metal slot in general is just bad. There's just nothing really good there. So if you can get 10% IED on there with some stat, that's considerably better than any other option. Yeah, and since it's a slow process that you're time gated for, that can be a good idea. And it's also just a good habit to get into, to always do Monster Park every day, because you'll just have permanent access to the green pots, to the yellow pots, to the gold pots, I mean, to the blue pots, to just make your training faster, or to help your mules if you're working on your Legion.
Alright, Knight Stronghold, here it comes.
Yeah, lots of Knight Strongholding. Yeah, I'm at like 5.8k now. That map is haunting my dreams, but yeah. Yeah, you just keep Knight Strongholding, yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that you could aim for, you don't want to overinvest into Abzo. Abzo will probably be...
Sorry, my mom came in.
Hi, Mom. So one thing that's possible is getting your accessories that are going to stick with you for a while, for pretty long, to Legendary, and getting either Mesobtain, drop rate, and maybe some intellect with that if possible, to make sure that... again, you get used to the baseline that you have now, you get used to this kill speed, but you increase your rates that you're getting within that kill speed. And then as you get the Absolab gear on track, as you get your CRA and everything upgraded and stronger, as the WSE grows, that almost sounded like something else, your kill speed will go up, therefore progressively your rates will go with it as well as you kill faster. And there'll be a stronger effect to your kill speed going up because your rates will move with it progressively. And usually I would say like wait for DMT and then but those have not panned out quite as well in recent events. So yeah, so that's something that's possible. But you already mentioned that you don't have that much money, so that might not be something that you can finish in like a day or in a week. But like getting one item at a time to like a line of drop rate, line of meso obtain. So you have 9 equips, right? That can get drop rate and meso obtain.
Should I be working on like because you can because like I'm not gonna have some of these actually no I will have these accessories for a while, so I should be working on like what should I try to give the drop rate line to? Like, which accessory?
So it doesn't really matter which ones, but I wouldn't do the horntail pendant probably, right? Because that's the one that we were talking about, like is possibly an option to like move around with the. So you probably don't want to rely on that, but that's still good because that leaves 8 equips, and then you can have 3 with drop, 5 with meso, because 5 with meso caps out, and 3 with drop gets you very close to that 100% drop rate for a bag. If you add the decent holy symbol, you will get to that point. So that'll help you make sure that every monster you kill drops a bag, and every bag has, at least when it comes to equip, has the most money in it possible.
Okay.
And you could do that with all of these equips, honestly. Those rings will end up becoming drop rate rings and everything down the line anyway. So once you get the Gollux rings, once you get maybe stronger event rings, you could, you don't know what's going to come out later. Then those might push these out of the way when it comes to bossing or damaging. But these will always have value. They will pay for themselves like tenfold, yeah.
Okay.
Pocket item slot, so you get the pink bean cup. And we're gonna work on metal. We talked about heart. Yeah, heart is just like a throwaway thing right now. I mean, you can use the shop if maybe. Oh, no. This one has a shop function, right?
Yeah, I just kind of got the Android because like it looked cool, I guess.
yeah. The heart doesn't really do that much. One thing is, this winter there might be a heart coming out that's actually a higher level and does actually have the real potential to give you some damage, and that'll cost 2 bill. But yeah, this is like months away from now, so.
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah, these are like
so much money needed.
these might be like amounts of money that are like astronomical to you now, but as you're growing, especially since you're in Ice Lightning, you're gonna be a very potent farmer down the road. You can like, this thing comes out in like a month or 2, and all you need is like 2 bill. That'll be like, you can make that in a day, like if you really put your mind to it. Even with your, if you don't, maybe in 2 days for you, right? If you're not wanting to do more than 2-hour sessions. But yeah, you'll be, once your gear and everything is set and you're at higher level areas, you will definitely be making, like with the Legion coins and everything, you'll definitely be making those 500 mil an hour rates. So it'll just be like 2 days of like a totem, and boom, you have that heart.
Okay, so I really should start working on like getting drop rate. I think that's like.
Yeah, drop rate meso obtain like 1. So maybe didn't go into that yet, but like, so there's drop rate and meso obtain are 2 significantly like different things. So drop rate is like how many items drop, and then includes meso bags, and then meso obtain is how much is in the bags that drop. And since these are different buffs, you can also have coupons that buff either one of these, and they can also stack together because they buff different things. So like the gold Legion coupon is meso obtain, and the green one is meso drop. So those can be used at the same time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
They're different lines though that you can get like on accessory, legendary.
Yeah, then there are also different lines. Yeah, item drop rate and meso obtain. Yeah, and you can also potentially get them on the same item, which is really juicy.
All right, Pog. I'm actually, I don't know if I'm excited to. I need a lot of money first. We'll see how long it takes.
Yeah, since DMT and all that stuff might not be, and since for the bosses and stuff you're getting carries and you have a line for that, it could just be useful for you, which probably what I would advise is just to go 1 accessory at a time, just get them to legendary, roll, and if you hit anything, item drop rate or meso obtain, that's good, move over to the next one. Because with every item you hit, the next one is going to be faster and faster and faster because your rates are just going to go up and up. And if you hit any of those lines with intellect, then that's even better, because compared to where you are at now with those accessories, then basically you'll be keeping the same amount of strength or even go up a little bit while gaining a lot of utility out of that drop rate and that meso obtain instead.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, flaming is on the side, but you'll definitely want to commit to flaming first to the fake Zalab weapon once you get that one. But other than that, yeah, just work your way down highest level to lowest level item with flame advantage to lower flame advantage. And don't underestimate how much extra damage you can get out of your, even just the boss, even like the Zakum accessories, for example. Because they have, it might be relatively low level, but if you hit like a 4 or 5% all stat line, that's really good. And
so I should keep trying to flame them or like potential them?
Yeah, so potential wise, we're going for the drop rate in the Mezzobtain as well. Flame wise, eventually if you have enough flames, I wouldn't like actively go out and buy flames for them, because they're still, you're going to be working on all the potentials and getting to legendary and all of that stuff first. But if you have spare flames, and your Abzo stuff that you have is okay, your weapon is set, then yeah, you're going to go through the accessories. So the highest level ones are probably going to be the Pink Holy Cup. And then if you go for the Pink Bean Belt, that one's pretty high level. And then you have the Earring, the Machinator Pendant, and then the Eye in the Face. But it's pretty reasonable to aim for like 40 to 50 intellect, or 40 to 50 flame score, right? From all of those individual pieces. And then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. Boom, 300 intellect. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be just a matter of all the small things. Working on your Legion, working on your Legion with link skills, right? Working on the arcane power, working on the flames a little bit, potential a little bit. Everything together is gonna just make you a lot stronger. Cup is 6, okay. Yeah, Cup has good potential for growing as well.
I'm excited to get my pocket slot finally after like getting roasted forever.
Yeah, people need to really like lay off that, because honestly, and yeah, at this point maybe, but like a pocket item slot is pretty. After the metal slot, it's probably maybe because of how the badge works now, but after those two, it's probably the least significant out of all the item slots in the account. People get very focused in the beginning on having to fill all the slots with something, and that's not necessary. It's not necessary that much. It's more important to have, if you have the weapon, a secondary, and emblem. If you just if you add a line of potential that says magic attack to your sub weapon now, that's already like 3 times the upgrade that unlocking your pocket slot item would be. But people look at this and are like, oh, you don't have your pocket slot. But that's not at all like the most important thing to focus on here. There's, it's part of the thing, but you don't need it for the set bonus right now, and it's not that important for your overall damage right now. And people truly focus on just having something in all the slots when it's not that important. I mean, all the little bits help, but some big bits like your WSE help way more than any of that. So yeah, it's a pretty common thing though for new people, because they just assume filling all the slots is just very important, but it's not really.
All right. I got a blast, but thank you so much for all your help.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, some of the guys will help you round out all the information. If there's anything else that like pops up, you could always send me a message on Discord, and I'll get back to you ASAP.
All right, thank you. Thanks so much, man.
Yep.
I'm so glad I got this. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, hopefully it makes everything a bit clearer, and best of luck.
Yeah, good luck to you too.
Yep, thank you. See ya.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.